The third major component of a Workspace Manager job are the Workspace Manager templates. Workspace Manager has a built-in template designer that is used to store and manage all of the templates within a particular job. Note that templates can also be imported and exported between jobs using the import and export capabilities on the Template tab. Every Workspace Manager template has extended properties associated with it. Every template will have a unique name and any type of description desired to give the user better information about the purpose of a particular template. Templates also have additional tabs of extensive information associated with each individual template. The general template options for each Workspace Manager template include settings for default values for security rights on objects that are created while the template is being constructed. Note that these values and all of the values on the Workspace Manager template properties can be preset using the Template Manager functionality that is built into Workspace Manager. These settings will only apply to new objects as they are created and added to templates within a workspace. They are not used to change the properties of existing structures already within a workspace. Other values, such as using the owner's primary or preferred database by default, will also check that option within the workspace object in the template when it is created. Whether or not a template has its creation capability enabled is determined by this checkbox within the general template options on the Template Properties tab. If this option is turned on, then this template may be used to create new workspaces based on this template. If this option is turned off, then this template cannot be used to create new workspaces. Note that the ability to match workspaces by project ID is only available for workspaces that already exist. It is not available for creating workspaces, since workspaces only have a project ID after they have been created. If creation is allowed, an additional option becomes enabled to delete new workspaces where metadata or security cannot be set correctly within the job when the workspace is created. Metadata or security failures can occur based on a variety of different causes, typically incorrect input metadata or disabled user accounts, group accounts, or specific metadata values within the workspace when it is attempted to be created. Additional values exist for default security rights, default group rights, and metadata inheritance values. For example, folders should automatically inherit all ancestor profile values, will enable folders as they are created and added to the template to automatically get the metadata values from the parent container, whether it's a workspace or other folders. If multi-level folders exist or structures within the workspace, this option will restrict the inheritance only to the immediate parent item or to all items above the folder as it is being created. Lower level ancestor metadata overriding higher level ancestors will resolve conflicts in favor of lower level structures rather than higher structures when determining how to resolve conflicts. Within each workspace template's properties is another tab for Lookup Table Maintenance. The Lookup Table Maintenance functionality of Workspace Manager allows specific templates to add user, group, and role information to the worksite database on the fly using the 3-tier Worksite Administrative API. It also allows specific lookup table values to be added or to have their descriptions updated as part of the processing when Workspace Manager is creating workspaces. These capabilities allow external data sources to synchronize and maintain data values within the worksite database and to enable client matter and other metadata values to be added to the worksite database or databases on the fly in a just-in-time fashion. When Workspace Manager runs, it issues the primary query that is used to drive the Workspace Manager job. The data coming out of the primary query will be used to identify existing workspaces. How Workspace Manager identifies existing workspaces is defined within the job on individual templates in the Identifying Existing Workspaces tab. Within this tab, the minimum number of metadata fields should be checked to allow Workspace Manager to find a unique instance of a workspace. In a law firm environment, typically client matter values are used as the key values to find a unique instance of a workspace. Any values that are checked within this section of the interface must match in order to determine that a workspace exists and to declare a match of an existing workspace within the worksite system. If other values are checked, such as name, description, or other metadata values, and those metadata values do not match, then the workspace will not be determined to exist based on that matching information, and a duplicate or existing workspace with some degree of overlapping metadata may be created. It is important to consider that the minimum number of metadata fields be checked when defining how workspace matching is defined within a particular job. Workspace Manager also has the ability to process the first match found if multiple workspaces are found. Also, if the job is restricted to not creating existing workspaces, then the ability to match workspaces by project ID is available. This gives the user very fine control over defining specific, always unique values to find an individual workspace, and can be used to eliminate redundant copies of workspaces, combine multiple copies of workspaces into a single workspace, or do other highly targeted operations, including changing bulk sets of metadata, such as client matter and other information, regardless of other data on the workspace, based on the unique identifier of the project ID. One of the most important parts of any Workspace Manager job is the updating capabilities of individual Workspace Manager templates. Updating can be turned off by unchecking the Allow Updating checkbox on the Updating tab within any specific template's properties. If this is turned off, Workspace Manager will not update any templates found by the matching criteria defined within the Identifying Existing Workspaces tab. If this capability is turned on, however, if Workspace Manager finds an existing workspace using the matching metadata defined within the Identifying Workspaces tab, the program will switch from a creating mode to an updating mode. Which operations will be performed are defined within the settings on this Updating tab. An important part of updating is the ability to add and match to existing structures within the Workspace Manager application. This will allow Workspace Manager to identify existing structures within Worksite based on specific matching metadata. The ability to add new structures can be turned off completely, but even if this is turned off, it is important to allow Workspace Manager to match to existing structures using some combination of information associated with those structures. Workspace Manager can match to categories by name, description, or project ID. Note that project ID is a unique identifier and can only be used by itself without other identifying matching information. Note that if multiple values are selected for matching, both or all of those values must match exactly for Workspace Manager to determine that it is matched to an existing structure. It is therefore important to only use the minimum amount of matching criteria to uniquely identify and match to a structure. For example, it is possible to match folders by name, description, and metadata, but if all of these options are checked, then none of those options may be updated. If a particular metadata value needs to be changed, but that metadata value doesn't match on the existing folder, and all of those values are checked, Workspace Manager will determine that an existing folder is not a match and will therefore create a new folder. In order to update metadata on a folder, the metadata matching must be turned off. Generally, it is recommended to match on structures by the minimum required metadata. Name typically is used for matching. However, if name needs to be changed, some other piece of information like description or project ID should be used to allow name and or description information to be changed. Note that when matching on folders by metadata, folders are matched based on the metadata within their particular section or level of the workspace. So the first matching folder that has a particular combination of metadata will be declared to be the match if specific metadata matching is used for searching for folders. In this situation, if multiple folders exist with the same combination of metadata, it is not always a sure thing to determine which folder will be the one that is actually updated. Same applies to searches and search parameters. We can match searches by search parameters to enable updating name and description information, but again, search parameters may not be unique within a particular section or level of a workspace or a workspace template. As part of the updating capabilities of Workspace Manager, it also has the ability to delete structures within workspaces based on specific options set in the structural deleting section of the updating tab of individual Workspace Manager templates. Workspace Manager has the ability to delete empty structures, empty tabs, empty folders, or searches that do not return any results as part of its processing. These types of operations are typically used in preparation of workspace archiving or aging, where it is desired to archive a workspace to a secondary database and is not desired to copy empty structures or searches that do not return results to that database. Another capability that Workspace Manager has is the ability to delete tabs, folders, and searches that are not explicitly defined within the Workspace Manager template. This will force workspaces to conform to the structure that has been defined within the template used for matching workspaces. These options should be used with care. If users are allowed through their security rights and role privileges within the worksite system to create ad hoc structures, these options may delete those structures within the workspaces if they do not match existing structures within the Workspace Manager templates. Another capability that Workspace Manager has that is intermediate between this option of deleting the structures or not deleting the structures is zone control. Zone control will be covered in greater detail in additional videos. Workspace Manager also has the ability to refile workspaces and folders as part of its processing. Note that refiling refers to the process of setting metadata and security on child structures, tabs, and folders within the workspace and the documents that they contain. It does not refer to the process of moving documents into a folder. DocAuto uses the term provisioning to refer to the process of moving documents into folders or moving documents between folders. Refiling, again, is the ability to set metadata and security on all of the structures within a workspace and the documents they contain. This can be controlled when a workspace or folder is changed, or to have jobs that are doing continuous refiling of metadata and or security as part of their processing. Refiling workspaces always and refiling security only is typically used for ethical wall jobs or other jobs that are forcing rigid security on workspaces and all of their child structures. Refiling on folders can also be done as part of the provisioning process after documents are successfully added to a folder. Workspace Manager also has the ability to use native refiling, which always does metadata and security refiling, and has the ability to perform modifications on child metadata values better than the Workspace Manager refiling that is not quote-unquote native refiling. This refiling capability may be slightly slower and always has the ability or always refiles both metadata and security. It does not have the ability to separate metadata and security refiling when native refiling is in use. This also has the sub option of changing security on child structures that are set to not inherit security, which may be used to control user-controlled structures security. The most important aspect of the Workspace Manager updating capabilities are controlled on individual templates within their Updating tab on the Allowed Changes tab within that section. Here is where the different changes to different types of workspace structures are listed. Properties values refer to the name and metadata values on workspaces, tabs, folders, and searches. To change the name and description on those structures, the properties values must be set. Note that for folders, properties also includes the email address. Security is set on workspaces, tabs, folders, and searches by checking the workspace and other security checkboxes. Metadata is the metadata that applies to workspaces or folders, and then special purpose updating operations apply to workspaces for publication, which is where Workspace Manager regulates how workspaces are distributed to individual users and groups. A sub-operation of publication is aging, which encompasses a wide array of Workspace Manager functionality, including archiving, copying workspace structures and/or content, moving workspaces and/or their content from one database to another, and other types of structural operations between databases. Zone control is also regulated within the Allowed Changes section of the Updating tab. This is where specific structures or child structures within a workspace can be removed based on